Hey guys, welcome back, and today I'm going to be changing tyres on my Epic Expert. The tyres that I come with have actually got quite thin sidewalls. And the problem with that is I'm actually preparing the bike now for the Autocross, of which I'll make another video thereafter showing all the changes I've made for the Autocross. And I'm going to be changing and putting these tyres on. So on the back I'm going to put, or rather on the front, I'm going to be putting a ground control grid 2.3. And in the back, fast track, also the grid 2.3. So normally on the Epic, you got a 2.1 at the back. I'm going to go for a 2.3, see how that works out. And these grid tires have like a type of serration or grid pattern on the wall of the tire, which I don't know if you're actually going to see there, which actually provide a bit of extra strength for the sidewalls. So it gives you an extra bit of protection, because as I said, the tyres on the Epic that it comes out with are actually quite thin. They're more for lightness. And there's a problem with it being too light is I've punctured a few times with them, even had a sidewall puncture which I've never had before. So I'm going to change out for this Autocross race, because the Autocross race is actually quite rocky, and yeah, I'd rather have a little bit of extra weight there then stop every 5 seconds to fix a puncture. So the only problem with a heavier tyre is you get the worst type of weight, which is rotational weight, which is then added to the bike. But it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for this race. So I'm going to change this on tyre. I'm obviously not going to show you how to do both, but I'll show you how to do one of them. So let's do this thing. A few issues when the first thing you do before actually changing the tyre is weigh the bike just to know how much extra weight you're adding, because it's not only going to be the tyre, it's going to be the sealant as well. So I'm going to weigh the Epic first. Comes to, not sure you can see that, but 12.08 kilograms, which is pretty light. That is with the little pack on the back here, which has got a CO2 canister or bomb, a little inner tube, tyre lever, CO2 nozzle, and obviously with the pedals installed as well, and a couple of bottle cages, no bottles. 12.08 respectable weight. So let's see how much we add to that by putting these heavier tyres on, and hopefully it's not too much, because as I said in a few videos, I'm a bit of a weight weenie. So let's take the tyre off and then change the front tyre. Okay, before we let the air out the tyre, one other thing I want to bring you or draw your attention to is the fact that the valve sits here, and the writing on the tyre or any type of signage or anything appears above the valve. Now obviously this is not going to affect the tyre in any way, but this is the way the pros do it. So if you want a tyre that looks like a pro, the writing always goes above the valve. Remember that for when you put the tyre back on. So what we're going to do now is obviously just take the cap off and store it somewhere where you can find it again. Let the air out. You can just obviously just let the valve out, or just take the valve out completely. But I'll let a little bit of the air out first. Okay, and just screw the valve out. Okay, and once the valve is out, it's a good time to also inspect the valve and make sure that there's no gunk or sealant sitting around the valve. And the reason for this is because this can also get pretty clogged up, and when you try to put air in it, the air doesn't just go in, it's basically gets stuck by the sealant in here. So just clean that out as well before you remove the tyre, and just make sure there's no damage to this valve. If there is, replace the valve. Okay guys, you may have noticed now that I'm not working with the front wheel, I'm working with the rear tyre, as I had some technical problems with the video that I shot for the front tyre, so I will refilm it on the rear tyre. Once we have the tyre, we must once again work out the rotational direction of the tyre, if there is a rotational direction of the tyre, which I'm just looking for quickly. Once again, I'm not making that easy to find. Okay, there's the rotational tyre or direction, which is down, which is basically that way, and there's the correct way. Okay, check that. Then place the valve over the writing. Once again, this doesn't really make any difference to the performance. It's just the way the pros do it, so we'll do the same. Put the valve more or less in the middle of the writing, and then start installing the tyre. Like that. Then we'll use the tyre levers. Let's get out of this last little bit here. Okay, that's the one side done. Then we'll do the other side. Okay, do the other side. Now, actually, before you start the other side, you must now install the sealant. I've measured 100 milliliters of stand sealant out here. I pour it into the bottom of the tire. And once you've done that, you've got to be very careful not to let that sealant now spill out. So carefully start putting the tire back on. Okay, once the tire is on, there are two ways to inflate the tire. You either put the valve back in and then inflate it, or inflate it without the valve first. I do that just so that the tire seats, and you'll hear the tire seating with a popping noise. Okay, that's the first there. Okay, that looks good. Make 100% sure. Okay, then I'll take this out. Keep my finger over the valve, obviously not to let the air out. And install the valve. Tighten it up again. Then check your tire to make sure that it is seated with this little black line. It must be above the rim, not in below the rim. So it must be completely around above the rim, which it is on that side. You check again on the other side, and that looks correct. Okay, and that's it, guys, for the installation of the tire. I will now weigh the bike to see if there's any additional weight gained by putting these new tires on. So after the installation of the new tires, it now weighs 11.93, so it's actually lost weight. I thought these tires are going to be heavier, so that's an interesting development. Under the 12 kg mark. Hope you made it to this part of the video, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.